We live. What's up, everybody? AOS Podcast. This is episode number 10. We hit double digits. Want to appreciate everybody that's been rocking with us these past 10 episodes. And this show, like the other ones, we got some heat, and we're going to follow a similar thing. We've been bringing on some guests because we didn't graduate to that status now that we got guests. So, again, if you're a first-time listener of the AOS Podcast, want to welcome you. All of our consistent listeners, appreciate you and love you. Again, follow us on Twitter at the AOS Podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube at the AOS Podcast, and like our Facebook page, the AOS Podcast. So we're going to have a great show tonight. Episode 10, this is a principal support system. So again, we're all three principals, and one of the most important things is the support system. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So we each have brought a teacher on, got two more coming, but we have one on us with us now. We're going to get things going. So as we always start off, we'll start off with introduction. So I go first. It's been a good week, but they shut us down. Marion County in Indianapolis is shut down. So beginning November 30th, all schools will be going virtual. So we're closing out this week, but I'm appreciative. We got 13 weeks in with my kids in the building. We didn't have no positive cases from staff to kids to anybody that we know as far as families. So just blessed for that. And we're going to do this virtual learning thing for 5 weeks, and then we'll be back in January. I have faith. So excited that we're going to end the week off in a good note. So, Ball, how's it been, man?
Yep.
What's going on out there in the county?
It's good, and it's good and busy. We just pretty much got into the highest category as far as cases go. So we're in the purple for California. Our county is, which basically means we're close to shutting down, if you will. It's been pretty crazy because over the last week we had families declare, because we've been in remote, we had them declare whether or not they want their students to return to school in a hybrid format or stay remote. And so it's been a lot of heavy lifting with that over the last week and getting numbers and things like that, and then just preparing for coming back January. But with the cases of COVID going up, there's lots of questions out there. What is it going to look like? Are we going to come back in January? So just been managing the expectations of my staff, of my parents, of students, and but making it. I'm happy to be back on a Wednesday with the fellas.
Absolutely. Hey, real quick, both y'all. First of all, happy Veterans Day. Want to say that to y'all again, and then Ball, happy Founders Day, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it. The greatest fraternity.
Why did I even do that?
Omega. Appreciate you. Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, celebrating 109 years of existence this yesterday on Wednesday. So it's good.
There he is. I'm up in the videos.
Hey, happy Founders Day to you too, man. Hey. Doc, man, what's up, dog? Man, how's it been, man?
First off, happy Founders Day to Unc and Ball, man. Big 109. So, man, my week is it's been up and down. I had some car issues this morning, but we got that worked out. My staff, it was crazy though, because we had a principal check-in on Wednesday morning, so I'm at home and they thought I was quarantined. I was like, nah, y'all, this is my swan song. I can't do it no more. I quit. But then I shut up the building. But hey, just on the COVID thing. It's crazy, man. Like I said, our county and the mayor of Kansas City came out and put in some more restrictions, limited the number of restaurants, large gatherings and things like that there. The funniest thing, bars and stuff are now closing like at 10 o'clock at night. And I seen a meme last night that just made me, crack up laughing. It said, remember that one time we all got COVID, but we made it in the house by 9:59 p.m. So like 10 o'clock really means something. So, but overall, man, it's been a good week so far. We had conferences last week. I got some eye-opening things, jumping into a lot of conferences and just hearing some conversations with parents and teachers. We did that last week, and now we ready for Thanksgiving, man. A week from tomorrow, we ready to get our grub on. So, and I'm excited about this show. I think, and make sure you stay tuned. Final thoughts.
So that he already set up with final thoughts. So again, this show is about principal supports, and right now we have the three teachers that be joining us with us. So before we get started, we want to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. So introduce who you are, what you teach, or what your role is in education, and maybe say something nice about your principal. So we'll start with Miss Johnson there. Introduce yourself. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm Diane Johnson. I'm an 8th grade ELA teacher here at Grandview Middle School. And it is so easy to find something really nice to say about Dr. Smith. I'm going to focus on his support. It has been like no other principal that I've worked for in previous years ever.
Appreciate that. Shout out to the ELA teachers. I taught 7th and 8th grade ELA myself, so much love to that. Mr. Kinney, welcome to the show. Introduce who you are, what your role is, and say something nice about your principal.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kenny Kahn. I'm an assistant principal over at Monte Vista High School in Danville, California, in the same district as Principal Ball. And we actually both got our start in the same year as VPs. He made that rapid ascension to the role of principal, school leader, head honcho, while I'm in my 5th year as the VP at one of our comprehensive high schools at 2,500. Great respects for Mr. Ball right there. I know he's doing some tremendous work at the middle school level. And I'd like to think that we partner with that full kind of range of secondary schooling. So just real proud of being a member of this conversation and community. And I've been on I've watched your show before, so just happy to be here.
Can I jump in real quick? I know we got some questions at the topics, but Kenny K, your time is coming, bro. Just wait on it. But since you are AP, because there's some things that I just dealt with some AP stuff, I want to ask you, what do you believe the role of an AP is?
That's a good question. Yep.
Well, if you look at it from one end, you could be perceived as the lowest level manager at a school site or within the district. On another level, I'd like to think like an assistant coach in a program, on a team, that you're also a coordinator of a particular program. So being able to be assigned perhaps, a variety of things. I happen to work with the CTE program, our health science program, our physical education, and our science departments. I also happen to be over athletics and AP testing, facilities. The list could go on and on. I'm your go-get-it. I'm the person that shows the quick, rapid results. And I think most importantly, the work is authentic and it's not just kill and drill. It's you're showing the elbow grease day in and day out. You're modeling for those department chairs. You're modeling for the other persons on campus who are watching to show that you're ultimately the greatest support system that they got. And for anything on the periphery, if you don't know it, you're going to find out about it. You're going to find somebody else who can do it. You're the utility belt. You just do you give it everything you got, and you got to be authentic. Most importantly, you got to give them a timeline of when you can get back to them.
Can you speak to a little bit about, because you said you're in year 5, correct, as AP?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how things look different in year 5 as opposed to year 1, as far as you having voice on the leadership team in your building.
You didn't know the ball from the bounce. I was an English teacher before I came to being, an administrator. I was a football.
Let's go.
I was a football coach, and I was assigned the science department. Right, so you could imagine I had to walk into a class or a group of colleagues who had just, an immense plethora, of just content knowledge that I didn't, but I knew instructional strategies. So what was going to be my aim is to help as much as possible with instructional strategies. I think also on another level, I came from a graduate program that it really focused on next generation science standards. So bringing what I knew about that and experts, right? Because I'm not an expert, but I know some experts who can come in and help with maybe a one day or a couple of periodic PDs, and also partner with some of our colleagues on campus, and also then identify those maybe new science teachers who are maybe fresh out of the teaching programs, who are just recently kind of, immersed in the next generation science standards, curriculum. They're going to be able to come in and use those discourses as well. So it's often empowering others, but, partnering in a way that they know, hey, I got your back, you got mine, but most importantly, we got work to do. And so, again, I think it's about leading with humility, if anything. I think in year 5, you've built the institutional knowledge, the relational trust, and then you can start challenging people in ways that perhaps they didn't see coming year 1 to 2. Year 3, if by your 3rd year you're not making some systemic, change or school reform, hey, that's okay. You might not be cut out for it, in the long run, but the reality is change is inevitable, right? It's the only constant. And outside of time being the only undefeated champion, we have finite time to make, immense school change, especially right now, as we've seen in the last 12 months what change looks like. So,
shout out. I was going to say shout out to you being an instructional leader, man. I love that part of it. Shout out to that,
absolutely.
Bro.
English teachers dominate. T. Will, what up? You muted.
Hey, how y'all doing?
What up? So, Willis, just briefly introduce yourself, what your role is, and then say something nice about your principal, which would be.
Sierra Willis. I've been teaching for about 9 years now. I've had experience in public school. Just growing up, my mother was a teacher, 40 years, retired from IPS. I was that rebellious child who was always out of school, so I couldn't stay at home by myself. I had to go to work with my mother. So I grew up not knowing that she was conditioning me for my future, but that's the best teacher I know. Shout out to Mrs. Sanders. But from there, I went to charter school and now I'm at Tinley. Love it. I am a student currently at Indiana Wesleyan University. So 2022, I will be walking across that stage. I look forward to that. But my principal, he's cool, dope, Mr. McGuire. Been there for 2 years at Summit, and Summit is like a family, so that's kind of what gravitated me to, sticking with it and being down with Summit and the Tinley family, just the whole community aspect of it.
Absolutely. East side of Nat.
Yeah.
All day. All right. So I take the first question. So we're going to go rotation. So this is for each of the panelists. So we'll go in order, Ms. Johnson, Kenny, and then Tia. We'll go in that order. So the first question is, what advice would you give to school leaders in trying to win over staff from a teacher standpoint? So from your standpoint, what do we need to do as principals to win over staff?
From a teacher's perspective, I think one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, is understanding the dynamics, the different layers within the staff, and understanding how the content is going to roll out. So, for instance, Dr. Smith is a math guy, but at the time he met with us in the ELA department for the first time, he knew what our power standards were. He could speak to them as far as priorities and where we were deficit. And I feel like he had a really good understanding of the dynamics of the staff. And I think before coming in and making many changes, having your finger on that pulse is crucial.
I guess I'll go next.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just going to always put out there, whether you call it winning others over or being able to read the room, having the emotional acuity to hear and see your new colleagues, because you are new and many of them aren't. And most importantly, they have a vision or an idea of what that school or what that climate and that culture has been and will continue to be. And so, it's kind of that in order to, go along, you got to get along. You have to be a participant in part of that culture. It doesn't mean that you are 100% espoused to it and are going to immerse yourself fully in it, but there's an opportunity for you to grow within that, because at the end of the day, you're representing that school as much as they are. And so be a connector, right? Be an active listener. And more importantly, instead of delegate or constantly, direct, again, partner, collaborate, right? And show up when they don't expect you to, in a way that feels both supportive as well as on the receiving end, that they're inviting you in, right? So it doesn't always feel like it's a formal observation or you coming in with a notebook and you're checking a box. No, you're coming in because you want to be an active participant in the learning environment. You're showing up to that extra co-curricular activity because you just had 5 minutes in your calendar, and why not walk by just to say hello and acknowledge the extra work that they're doing to go above and beyond, in the service of our kids.
Okay, so I feel like that's, the win you over kind of deal. I don't want my leader to win me over. I need you to win my respect. I'm not looking for a friendship. That part is a cherry on top, but display those leadership skills that I need as the teacher, and show us what it is to be like, how we should carry ourselves in the classroom or in the building or deal with parents, especially now when you have a lot of first year teachers coming in. You need to be that representation. So I need to see that strength, so that the rest of the staff can follow suit into that strong leader. So that's what it is for me.
I got a follow up to that for all three of y'all, because I think sometimes as leaders, we feel like we have to have all the answers. So, and when you don't have the answer, you feel like you lose respect from your staff or the people that are under you. And Kenny K talked about showing up in a way that they don't expect it to. So when you go to your leader and they say, I don't know, or give me some time to figure it out, how do you take that? Does that cause you to have less respect for them or more respect for them? We have some leaders out there listening that have a problem with that.
For me, I am going to respect someone a lot more if they aren't just speaking off the cuff all the time. And if they're taking the time to research the question that I have asked them and come back with a solid answer, I would rather wait and get a quality response that's going to be impactful than to get an immediate response because they think that I think that they need to have all of the answers in order to be an effective leader.
I'm just going to always put out there, I think it's a combination of both. It's the immediate response and communication. And I think, as I mentioned before, the timeline. If I tell you, hey, I don't know, but I'm going to get back to you in 24 hours, or, hey, I'm going to CC so-and-so who I know has a little bit more, expertise in this area. Let's check in with them as well. But again, timeline. Hey, let's try to wrap this up within 48 hours. Hey, you know what? It's the weekend. It's a Friday. I don't know for sure, but first thing Monday, I'm gonna hop in after our admin meeting, and we're gonna find out a little bit more information about this. Again, it's just actively communicating and letting people know, hey, it's not something that's put on the back burner, and we're gonna continually revisit until we find the resolve and the solution that we need.
So I understand that my leader is human just like me. So, there are going to be times they don't have the answer right then and there when I need it. But just keep that gap of communication closed or open, fill that in and let me know here and there, hey, I'm checking on that, or I'm waiting for a response or waiting for an answer. But I'm not looking to hold you accountable like, hey, you're supposed to have these answers because you're the leader and the principal of this building.
Thank you all so much for joining us. I'll take the next question if that's cool, fellas. Appreciate all your responses to that question, because I think we're trying to learn just like we're trying to help everyone else learn, and to get your perspective is really important to us. So thanks again for joining us. So one of the things that I pulled up and found this meme that says leaders add value when they have value. You all were asked on here because your principal or whoever you work with identified you as a key support to them or to your site. So what was it that helped you buy into the vision of your principal? Ms. Kiara, you gonna start first for us, please?
Sure. Okay. So what brought me into McGuire, the principal at Tinley Summit, was, again, the community aspect. So I'm a firm believer in the African proverb of it takes a village to raise a child. When I got there, I saw his relationship with the parents and the scholars. So I saw that pyramid was solid. Though that tribe relationship was great. That's what sold me. And just to see how real he was with his staff and how open, he was to bring us in, and made sure that he built a relationship within his employees, so we all were, cool with each other. We had a great relationship. Even if we had friction, there was nothing that you could tell, coming in, but it was good. The community aspect for Summit is awesome.
And we had some friction. We did.
We were solid though.
I'm just going to put out there, Mr. Ball and I, we are the two African-American administrators in our district. In a predominantly white and Asian suburban school landscape and community. And while there is, a Black and brown population, it is on the small margin. And so I think in many ways, we both kind of have a calling to show up in ways that whether or not it's other duties as assigned in our contracts or not, we do nonetheless. And I think that all, the simple term that I could, or not simple, but complex term that one can think of is just being versatile, being able to show up in a variety of capacities. I may have been an English teacher, but I was a football coach. I was a restorative justice coordinator. I was a school and climate coordinator. Right, I was going to my admin program while I was still making sure I was doing after school tutoring for tier 2 and tier 3 intervention. Why? Because all of those play a part in how I grow as an educational professional. And again, I can't expect kids to learn if I don't model that love of learning. I can't expect other teachers to buy into the leadership that I want to have if they don't see me grinding and succeeding, but also sometimes falling flat on my face and picking myself back up, right, and having to go right back at it again. So again, I think it's just that combination of all of that, being versatile, being real, but also recognizing you don't have all the answers, and that's okay too. We're all a work in progress, and so let's model that.
Dr. Smith came into our building with a very, very clear vision. And so not only did he have the vision, he trained us to where we could implement the different pieces of that vision. And it was very focused. And I felt like as a district, as a building, we were very focused and not all over the place with 100 different initiatives. And for him to provide the training, the time to develop the techniques and strategies that he wanted to see, and giving us the resources. It's not here's a rock and a stick, go teach the kids. It is true support and scaffolding so that, he came in as a stranger to most of us. And with his very well-defined vision, and then I have learned more under his leadership probably than I've learned in the previous 13 years of education before I worked for him. His training, I got to observe him with the new teachers, and I think all of our new teachers last year returned, and to see their development opportunities is not something I had seen from a principal before. So that was my first hint that, this is going to work. This is a great fit, and we're going to do some really important work under his leadership. But he didn't just throw out an idea and then cross his fingers and hope that we understood what he was talking about. He was very purposeful in helping to direct us into the direction of what his vision is.
Ms. Johnson, I got a follow-up question for you. So we be teasing Doc because he always got all these goodies and these activities. So here's what I want to know. Here's what the people really want to know. Whose ideas are those? Because I know it ain't his. So tell the truth. Don't listen. It's okay. You don't have whose ideas are they? Because I know it ain't his. He's not coming up.
We got your back, Ms. Johnson.
He's not
we
the
got
creator.
Ms. Johnson. Hold on, Ms. Johnson. Go ahead and show them what you got today. Go ahead and show them what you got today.
Creative. I ain't trying to hear that, man. Listen. No, am I lying? Man, this ain't him. Coming for me. He ain't coming up with.
Check this out.
What?
Look at that. That's for my building leadership team. A little something for them.
Man, yeah, what's this?
Man. Go to other. Yeah, there we go.
Bring it. There you go.
Okay. Doc.
Yep.
Doc, you getting? Oh, never mind. I won't go there. But
He's always surprising us with. It seems like it's what we need at the moment. He's very intuitive.
Man, you know what?
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Hey, hold on, for real. Let me be 100 with it. 100 with it. So I would say 80% of the ideas are mine, but the execution is all my administrative assistant, Miss Sadler. My secretary is the bomb diggity. She I'll come up with hey, I want to do this, and if I come up with I want to do 7, she takes it to 20. So she is the one that's making the execution. This Friday coming up is Final Friday. It's Final Friday, so y'all got to wait and see on Twitter what Final Friday brings this month at GMS.
Man, and Mama Toya, I don't have an inside voice. Willis can tell you, I ain't got no inside voice. I don't have a switch. It's like it's 10.
So rolling on to the next thing. Like I said, I'm loving this energy. Our last show, I was loving the energy on there. So it's good having guests. We're gonna have to probably find a way to keep this going. But in our current state of education, we're talking about support systems for principals, but support systems have to be reciprocal. It has to be a reciprocal relationship. So I'm going to ask all three of you, what do you feel that teachers need right now from their leaders to feel supported?
For me, I need from my leader, I need what my children need. So give me the supplies, the materials, and if the budget is not right, or if it is, help bring in the staff to support the children that need that, the counselors or the social workers, things of that sort. And, I've been in classrooms before where I've sent children to the office to get a box of tissue, and they're like, oh, we don't have any tissue. And I'm like, dang, something that simple, that we need in the classroom so that the children, we can function in the classroom, we can manage the classroom, and secondly is kind of, the teachers who are well seasoned and they got this down packed. It's kind of like, let them teach, because not always is it the script and the plan that you get in front of you. They, to me, in my opinion, are not always the only experts, when it is to delivering the lesson to children. So if you know that teacher is delivering that lesson, those children are learning, the data is proving it, then go on and let them be themselves in that classroom.
I'm going to share consistent recognition, affirmation, and time. Time right now is of the essence, because in last spring, at least in our district, to move to full remote so abruptly, there wasn't a lot of room for grace, whether it was to fall or get back up with it. I think over summertime and into where we are currently, our teachers have done a phenomenal job with remote teaching and learning. And then as Principal Ball already shared, we're now declaring, our families are declaring whether or not they will remain remote for the remainder of the school year or come into a hybrid where they would attend school in person for 2 days a week. And that's going to ask for a lot of shift and change for our teachers once again. And so what type of time, professional development, new tech tools. So a lot of this conversation around video conferencing, what is that? What does that look like per department, per course or grade level? How is it different from an in-class experience versus maybe like a physical education experience? All those types of changes. Are we giving our teachers the time and the supports in order to feel confident in what they do? Whether you're a new teacher or a veteran teacher, you just want to feel confident, right? The proper preparation prevents poor performance.
I think our needs this year obviously have changed dramatically from previous years, except perhaps the end of last year. Of course, most of us have a need to feel safe. I think that goes without saying with the COVID, with the virus and all, but not getting in the way of what we're here to do, of our purpose. Our purpose is to move kids. And the whole time factor is so much different this year than it was prior to. And I need to know that my time is being taken into consideration, because at the end of the day, it impacts my delivery to the students. And so knowing what we're here for and not detracting from that with unnecessary meetings and unnecessary busy work, just because we've done it year after year after year, does not mean that it is going to work this year. And so there are some, can I say this? There are some distractors outside of the building. I'm just going to say it. Some distractors outside of the building that are kind of being a roadblock to us achieving our purpose for why we're here. And so I think knowing that we're all going in the same direction and not interrupting what the teachers are doing, making sure that every minute is used wisely, be it for a meeting or planning or grading. That's what I think teachers need.
So Ms. Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead. Yep.
Like I said, the one thing that I heard over and over again, I've seen it tick through all the comments, is that gift of time. So as leaders are out there listening, please don't underestimate that. I'm just gonna give you a quick story. Last week we were the week before last, we were in the quarter, and we were supposed to have a PD. We were supposed to have a PD that we were supposed to do. And I was like, you know what, teachers need time to get grades, anything like that. So I just made the announcement, hey, we're gonna move the PD till next week. And before I got from the main office back to my desk, I had at least 15 emails from teachers saying, thank you, just that gift of time. And that don't cost nothing to a leader. That don't cost you a dime to give teachers time. And one of the comments said, protecting that instructional time in the classroom, making sure we aren't doing, pulling kids out for reasons they don't need to be pulled out, which is kind of difficult now with everything going on. But that gift of time is very important. And you kind of see that coming through in the comments all over the place.
Absolutely. And Ms. Johnson hit on something that's one of our questions. I'm going to jump to it now because I think it just ties in. So we're going to turn this into a little panel discussion. So, because this is the Realist Ed Movement. This is episode 10 of the AOS Podcast. And so we get things real. So we about to get real. Everybody gave their nice answers. Ms. Johnson kind of got things going when she used the word distractor. So now you got us going. So now we about to go there because I am going to be the shit starter. And I'm going to be the one who is going to put his job on the line. No, I'm just playing. Kind of. But here's the question, and this is true. So, Ms. Johnson, I'm going to have you go first because I think this is where you were going. So what does supports look like from central office leaders for principals during this time? Because I know as a principal, listen, I love our network team, but sometimes I need you to do network things and stay out the building. So, I need you to not be in this Kool-Aid. Stir your own Kool-Aid, drink your own stuff. Let me do this. And sometimes because you're not there day in and day out, they can get in the way of what's happening in the day-to-day building. And they pulling me away from where I should be with my teachers and with my kids. So what are you all's thoughts when you think about whether it's a network, like we're at a charter school or a bigger district like you guys are at? What does that central office support look like? What should it look like for principals?
Central office should have a primary goal of not making their building principal's job more difficult. Central office needs to have relationships with the teachers so that the building principals are not perpetually put in the middle to justify decision.
That's a word. That's a word. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. That's the word.
Have to justify every single decision that maybe flies in the face of what the teachers are expecting to happen. And so there's a fine line between having relationships with teachers and getting in there and messing with that in a way that's not helpful. But, I feel like right now building leaders are very much caught in the middle. And they've got the teachers over here and they've got their boss over here and they're between a rock and a hard place. And so central office should be taking the same approach with principals that the principals are taking with the teachers. What do you need? How can we frame this so that it is more compatible to what you're trying to do? Okay, I'm done.
Preach that, please. Preach that.
So,
Tierra, Kenny, what you got?
I'm just up there, So she made a great point where, and there was an article that I read a few weeks ago, and I'm gonna go back and try to find it. But basically, it's called the principal squeeze, where you're being squeezed from the central office side, and then you're being squeezed from the principal. Like you're trying to basically juggle all these balls at the same time. But what's something that you said, Dave, that I think is that that whole "don't come get in my Kool-Aid." It's fine if you want to be in the Kool-Aid when we making the Kool-Aid, but don't come after the Kool-Aid's making trying to change the flavor when it's already been made.
Right.
That's the issue. That's the issue I got.
It's cherry. Stick with it.
My bus is already going to Chicago. Don't come here and tell us we're going to New York now. Mm-hmm. And if my bus is going to Chicago, you should be saying, hey, here's some on the gas money. How can I support you to get you to where your staff is trying to go? And I feel like they do a good job in some areas. But then sometimes, and this is, I'm not going to steal my final thought. Sometimes central office cake to parents too much.
Ooh.
Mm-mm. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. So, Tierra, Kenny, what's your thoughts? And obviously, the central office, we need them for certain things. But what's your thought on how they should be supporting? How, as we're going, sometimes they can get in the way and impede the progress that's happening at the school.
Yeah, like you said, we need them for certain things. So since you guys are higher up and you are, you got all the connects, then you should be asking the principal, what do you need? Because I know these people and I have access to this and, I can get us here. Just tell me what you need for your school individually. Like you said, we may be a network, but our school may not service the same type of children at the other school in the network. So your styles and your teachings that you want us to put upon them are not going to work for our children. So you need to be asking us, what do we need? What fits our students and how we can succeed with their help? What can I get for you?
That's right, because our east side is different than their east side.
Definitely.
Kenny Ball, what's your thoughts on that?
I think that point is so real, where we're in a big district with 34 schools in the district, and there's a stark difference between the south side and the north side of our district, and it's really interesting when the district office centralizes, how things are going to run and things like that, but it doesn't quite fit what we need. And so that's difficult. And I had a conversation with someone last week about, or a couple weeks ago, about, the folks in the district office. Those are all folks that are used to being leaders. And now they're all together, and there's miscommunication up at the district office, quite often, because everybody's used to being in charge. They're used to running their own building. And it's really difficult for them to have that perspective of, yeah, we're trying to do the best for everyone, but at the same time providing that autonomy. I'll give it up to a lot of our district staff. They do a lot of, communicating with us as site principals, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge. I wish it were more decentralized, but it is what it is, and we've got some competing. Kenny can speak to it. We've got some competing interests within our district.
But also, I think with that, Ball, though, and I feel like we've had this conversation before. As building leaders, we try not to forget what it was like to be in the classroom. When we're making decisions, we're always trying to make decisions with what it was like to be that teacher in the classroom. And I think sometimes central office people forget to be what it was like at the building. And I think that's where some of that disconnect is happening, because you may make a decision at central office that's going to look different than how it plays out in your building versus my building. So I think that's where that collaboration piece needs to come into play. Like, hey, we want to move in this direction, or we want to do this X, Y, and Z. What is that going to look like at Grandview Middle School? What is that going to look at Martin City Middle School? What is that going to look at the high school? So basically, when we make this decision, we know how all the dominoes are going to fall, and not just making it in and say, oh, well, the dominoes fall where they may.
Yep. Can I ask a rhetorical question? What happens if your central office has people that's never led a school? Okay, never mind. I thought I'd just put that out there. But anyway, Mr. Kidney, sir, what are your thoughts? That was some shade. Willis know what I'm talking about, but what are your thoughts on this topic?
I think as Principal Ball already had specified, some decisions that are being made through a K through 12 model just don't fit the bill. I think there's things that are specific to elementary. There are things that are specific to middle school, specific to high school. Based on our declaration decisions by our families, you can see that in different school sites in our large community, that there's different needs at our different elementary schools, that our different middle schools, and at our different high schools. I want to trust the execs at our school sites who have the most knowledge of and preparedness on how to lead those schools. And so I think what's already been said is let the decisions be made by them. Let them tell you what they need. And more importantly, and we actually, we happen to be a very well-resourced district. And sometimes the loudest voice in the room or the deepest pockets in the room are the ones that get the immediate response and the thumbs up and the okay. I'd like to see the people who are working the hardest be the ones who get asked, hey, what can we do for you? How else can we help support? How can we lighten the load? Because I think Principal Ball, myself, and the administrative staff in our district are doing tremendous work. But we're right now, we just feel like behind the scenes folks, putting on a really large show, and hopefully people see those efforts. But again, we want to know that, our input matters. And also the work that we're doing behind the scenes is also showing up on the front end as well.
But if you've never led a building or led a department, never mind. Let me stop.
So give us your take, Dave. What's your take on, CEO and what they should be doing right now?
Staying out the way. I need you to raise money, make sure we got the proper PPEs. I need you to make sure that from a city standpoint that we're staying in tune with all the things that are happening from a health standpoint. And I need you to let the folks in the building, the people that have led building and have taught in classrooms, I need you to let us do that. Like you got to know your ministry, right? And if you don't know your ministry, then you need to say about the sermon book. So I appreciate, right? It is not everybody. So like we have, our CEO is phenomenal. The man knows his stuff, right? I ain't talking about him. I'm talking about everybody else, the other folks. That if you ain't never led a building, don't come in here trying to, what you gonna tell me about coaching? How you gonna tell me to coach a teacher? Like, you ain't never coached a teacher. You barely taught a classroom. So I feel like, again, people get those titles and they get those roles and everything, and they go to run with it, but you ain't never sat in this seat. Or to Mr. Kenny's point, like even an AP seat, because there's some power in that AP seat, right? Because you also get, you get the mess from the teachers and the mess from the principals, so like there's value in that. But if you never sat in those seats, or hell, even been a department chair, what you about to tell me about leading? So I feel like if you don't know it, like you just back away. But that's also an issue that we shouldn't be putting those people in those positions. That's a show for another day. But what principals need, man, and this time we like you said, have our back, get us the things that we need. So when my teachers ask, and I ask you for it, I need you to make sure that when I go in front of my teacher, I can give them what they need, and my kids what they need, and my families what they need, and ultimately my community what they need.
So speaking of that piece on what you need, so let's cut out all the drowned out noise of what people above us are doing. Like I want to hear kind of from everybody on the panel now is during this time as a teacher, what do you need from your leader to keep the essential functions of what we do important, instructing students at the forefront? And then I want to hear from the rest of my co-hosts as well. What are we doing to get those distractions out the way so our teachers can actually focus on the instruction that needs to happen for students? So I'm gonna throw that out there.
I'll start if that's okay. Time, a key to the front door.
Whoa!
Hey, y'all better not get in these comments.
Doc, what's going on? What's going on in Grandview?
Get on the key.
I can't get in front. I can't get in the front door.
Keys, we gonna have a problem.
Get on the front door, Doc. What you doing?
Those keys, I'm telling you. When I get in here at 6:30 and I'm standing outside the door like a stray dog, hello.
Hey,
Because Doc and they're cooking them gourmet breakfasts in the morning.
Oh,
That's what he's
See him
doing.
on Twitter.
I'm so sorry. So besides that, time is the biggest. It has always been impactful, but this year it's crucial. Like if I had to pick one thing, and I remember exactly what Dr. Smith was talking about the day he said we're going to put off this PD. It's like you exhale, the whole building exhales, and this is. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading the comments. So the time. It's always been important, never more important than right now.
Ms. Johnson started something with these keys, man. With these keys. Tiara, you want to go ahead and take it? You next. Go ahead so we can get off these keys.
Yeah. So my thing is just, help keep the calmness of the school, the tranquility that the students, with all the chaos that's going on outside, this should be somewhat of their safe haven. So you being the first line of defense in a sense, because you're the leader, keep that noise out and away from our students. Let us, try to help shape them for what they're faced with or what's getting ready to come their way. So that's my take on that. To keep the kids, just keep them calm.
Hey, Willis, you got your keys, right? You got your key to the building?
Okay. I got two.
That's right. 2 keys. You heard that. 2 of them.
Shout out to Miss Sally for the 7:15 a.m.
Yes, 6:30 would be amazing, but I do appreciate the 7:15.
Kenny K, man, you up, Kenny K.
Obviously, as you can see by my illustrious background right now, I'm in the belly of the beast. I'm in my pink painted garage, and I work from home today. Why? Because this is a day where my wife, also who happens to work in a graduate school of education, is teaching a day-long seminar, and I'm helping to support to be a father to to be a partner. And so, I have a 9-month-old and a 2.5-year-old. And so I need to be able to be present and accessible for them, as well as do my job, as well as be able to get on a podcast and have a conversation with folks. I need that flexibility. Now, do I do that every day of the week? No, but my Wednesdays have typically during school closure have been, I'm at home. Trust me, I'm doing a lot of hard work. I'm answering a lot of emails. I'm on a lot of Zoom calls and Google chats and classroom observations, and I'm, responding to work orders and checking in with the maintenance department, and, know that I'm working and know that I'm not slacking off. I think that sometimes is a perception of, if you're in person, if you're remote, we want to always just honor each other's, I think, expertise, and more importantly, the grind. Is know that everyone's working hard right now, and just reaffirm that, hey, I know I know you're working hard, and genuinely mean that. And hey, I know you got to take care of your family. I know these are unprecedented times. I know that we don't know what, a month from now is going to look like, because however many, 180 days ago, we were talking about a 2-week period of flattening the curve. So if that's the case, we have to adjust the sails as we're steering this ship, and know that, again, we got all the best interest and personal welfare and personal well-being at heart. So let's do this together and be flexible, but also, again, like have a vision and have a plan. If we're all in, we can fight and fuss behind closed doors. When we walk out, we're all aligned and we're all on the same page.
Those of us that's been following our show over these 10 episodes, again, shout out to y'all that's been rocking with us. Each of us, Doc, Ball, and I, we have a certain personality and a temperament. And not even being in their buildings, to that question, I know what type of leaders Ball and Doc are, just the way they carry themselves. But for me, and Willis knows, man, I don't know if it's like I said, I don't know if it's youthful inexperience or just like a rebellious streak, but I tell my staff, man, I'm going to take all the shit, right? I'm going to take all the heat. I'm gonna get into trouble, so y'all don't have to get in trouble. Because if I can weather that or be that umbrella, right, that catches that rain, y'all can stay dry and do the work that you need to. I tell myself all the time, I get in enough trouble for everybody in the building, so can't nobody get in trouble, because that's my job. My job is to say things. My job is to ruffle feathers. My job is to speak up on your behalf, and I believe I have to do that because, as they said, I have to make sure I shield them from all the mess, or in the words of Ms. Johnson said, those distractors. And so, like, my role into this is, so in order for them to do the teaching and learning, I got to take all the heat. So I got to be the one that catches the network staff and things like that. But I aspire to have that level of calmness and have that persona that I know that definitely Ball guy. And it's Doc and I joke, but I know what type of leader he is. And I know when he walks in that he comes in there, and I know for a fact that they see his mentality, like, okay, it's gonna be fine. Even it could be batshit crazy, but I know the way that they carry themselves that it's gonna be all right because I'm leading us and I got y'all. But I want to hear specifically from y'all. That's just my perception of y'all. But how is it that you make sure that your teachers are able to do the teaching and learning for kids?
I guess my first thing is every decision I make, I'm making it from the standpoint of, when I was a teacher, what kind of principal did I want? I want to be that principal I always wanted. So every decision I'm making, no matter when I'm talking about planning time, when I talked about how we laid out our schedule for this year with virtual versus in-person learning, is what is going to be the least amount of stress on my teacher. And today we had our BLT meeting and we were looking at our second quarter goals. And we got some things that we started first quarter that we didn't hit we didn't get fully implemented. And we talked about what does that look like second quarter? And, there was a lot of discussion and we came up with a couple of things. But my thing is, I don't want it to be an add-on for teachers. I want them to be able to say, I'm already doing this. How do I redefine it to fit what we're already trying to do in the school? Like, my thing is, I never want to add to what is going on. And Miss T. Watson is in the, my teachers is in the comments. She was on my interview panel for this job. And one of the things I told them was that at GMS, and what I knew about GMS before I took this job, there was a lot of things going on. There was hamburger over here, and there was noodles over here, and there was pasta sauce over here. I want to come in and make spaghetti. I don't want to have hamburger pasta. I want to make spaghetti. I want everything to gel and flow together. So there were some things when I took over, we cut out. We put on the back burner. We didn't do anymore because it wasn't taking us to where we were trying to go. So I came in with a clear vision, like, hey, here's where we're going, and here's how we're going to get there. I can't do this alone. And I can't do this with just 2 people. I need everybody to be on board. And slowly but surely, and some of it was rough, the people that wasn't on board aren't here no more. And I've only been here a year and a quarter. But I made it known from jump, like, this is where we're going, because I know this is what are going to get results for our students. And then I always want to make sure that my teachers, like you said, I want to shield my teachers from any blowback. I tell them all the time, if things go right, I'm going to give you all the praise. But if they go downhill, I'm going to take all the hit. And I'm going to own it. This was my decision, because I don't want anything to ever fall back on you for doing what I asked you to do. I made that decision. So that's kind of the way that I try to approach it. And then, you know what I'm saying, always, you know, showing them appreciation, because sometimes, like I said, we don't get appreciation from outside this building. So I want to make sure I'm always showing my staff with appreciation, just if it's the gift of time, you know, Final Fridays that we do, whatever it may be. And like I said, Final Fridays is this Friday. Make sure you watch out on Twitter when Final Fridays going to go down like at a GMS. So, but that's me.
Hey, Renee Brown, Tinley Summit got a spot. What's up? Indy is thriving. We got let's tell them we got room. We got room at the summit.
Definitely
we got the room at the summit. Bob, go ahead, man.
No, I'm a defer, because I know my man Kenny's gotta go, but I wanted to give him the chance to kind of finish up, give us some of his closing thoughts, because he has to take off for another meeting.
I'm just really happy to have been in the conversation today with each of you. I know we're all doing tremendous work, but just as a reminder, again, in the service of kids, can't thank you all enough for what you do in the classroom, what you do in the office, what you do in your communities. You know, I'm actually leaving to go to another African-American male alumni of a leadership program that I went to at UC Berkeley. And that's really nice to talk about as a group of men, but I can't help but think about the incredible women, you know, that I work with, and you know, one that I happen to be married to, Alex Kahn. She actually wrote a book, or was a co-author of a book with Becky Cohen Vargas and Amy Epstein on identity-safe schools for grades 6 through 12. And when we talk about how we honor and acknowledge our teachers, how do we honor and acknowledge our students? How do we make them feel physically, intellectually, and emotionally safe? That's key. And I know that, again, we have our work cut out for us for whatever transition we're about to embrace come January. I hope each and every one of you, you know, your colleagues and our students during that winter break are safe. I think, you know, with Thanksgiving, obviously, eat well, but also be mindful of what the real history is behind that, because that's a whole other conversation to pop the cork behind, right? We have to make sure that we're identifying and acknowledging the real roots and real history. And so while I have, you know, some ham hocks, some collard greens, and some cornbread fresh on the stove, ready to serve for dinner tonight, I know that's an acknowledgement and paying homage to my grandmother, to my ancestors, to my deep roots. And again, I appreciate you. This has been, you know, food for the soul as well. So good luck to each of you. Stay positive, stay blessed, and have a great rest of your day.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on, TK, man.
Appreciate you. Yeah, so I really appreciate Kenny. So I'm happy he was able to join us. But, you know, just to go back to the question, I think, you know, I show up at school the same way that I show up here. I'm pretty chill, laid back, but at the same time, you know, my staff knows that when stuff goes sideways, I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to communicate clearly as possible. You know, like we talked about earlier, when I don't have the answers, it's okay, because I'm going to get back with them and let them know. But I think, Doc, as you talked about, having that clear vision of what you want to see at the very end and bringing everybody on is where I'm at. I'm in year 2, and, you know, year 1 finished dramatically, like, you know, where are we at? What's going on here? But I think just with my nature, my personality, you know, and I've talked about this, you know, previously, but, you know, my time in combat prepared me for this. You know, my time in the Army prepared me for this. And, you know, there's not a lot of things scarier than not knowing where, you know, where the next thing's coming from, and when your life is on the line. And to some extent, we're at a similar point right now, and that's the tension that everyone's feeling. And, you know, we're planning to go back in January, and folks are like, you know, the more and more conversations I have with staff, they're, you know, the more and more their feelings are coming out. And so just trying to be calm and consistent and supportive is exactly what my staff needs right now. So, that's where I'm at with the support and helping my teachers get to where they need to be as far as teaching and learning in their classrooms.
Man, I can't. We at the hour point. So as we always do, we do final thoughts. So we're gonna do final thoughts. Willis, we'll start with you. Give your final thoughts. Ms. Johnson, we'll go to you, and then the fellas and I will close it out with final thoughts. So I'll kick it off for the AOS since I started the show. But Willis will go to you, Ms. Johnson, then I'll go for final thoughts. So T. Will, what's your final thoughts tonight?
All right, my final thoughts is just, I feel like when we hit the aspects on leaders, what we're looking for as far as teachers, what we're looking for from our leaders. And I commend you 3 Black men for showing that strength and being powerful and giving that leadership that the school needs. And going back to what you said, when new leaders step in, like, don't take everything and section it off, put it all together and make that spaghetti, season it up and get it what works for your school. As far as the higher ups coming in, like, especially when you come to schools that are in the urban communities who are serving Black children, like, you haven't lived in that Black skin to be able to relate to what it is this child is going through or what their family has been through. So your fantastic plans, like, oh, this will work, like, don't come through with those and sweep us off our feet or plan on doing that without asking us what we need first for our children to be successful. And then I just, the ultimate goal at the end of the day is for the children. How do we prepare them and think of them as who they are? Not all of these children. No, these children are different. Where they live at is different. Their families are different. Their backgrounds are different. So what is going to work for these particular children to make them successful, to help them? And that's what we need to focus on. It's all about the kids. It's all about the babies.
That's right. Thank you, T. Will. Ms. Johnson,
real quick, before we get to Ms. Johnson, can I see T? I want to see T. Will's shirt. I got to see the shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I got to see the shirt.
Man who stands for nothing will fall for anything.
That's dope. That's dope.
That's my boy, Malcolm.
Nice.
I want to thank you for letting me participate in this. These conversations, and I've watched most of your podcasts, and I think you tackle some very relevant but tough issues. And these conversations with teachers, they just haven't gone on. And knowing that we could be potentially looking at a teacher shortage in the near future, I think this is one important key to keeping teachers in the profession, because feeling like we have a voice is crucial. And I have learned a lot tonight from the administrator's point of view, as far as when I got the list of questions, it really made me stop and think exactly how I am supporting my own leaders, not only how they're supporting.
Kiki, can you come up in the front door? Kiki, can you come up in the front door?
Not only how they're supporting me. And I think it just made me kind of switch my paradigm a little bit, and while constantly reinforcing our purpose for being here, which is students.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. My final thoughts is going to come in 3 parts. First, T. Will, I'm going to make sure you get your flowers. And here's what I'm going to say. So September 2019, man, my passion and my recklessness got me in a bind. And T. Will was one of the ones, she had my back, man. She went to bat for me. She went up to that board meeting and she had my back. And so I'm forever in debt with you for that. And so I appreciate it. But also, she teaches 2nd and 3rd grade writing. And I tweeted this the other day. A 2nd grader came up to me and said, Ms. McGuire, why does America hate the Black man? And then today, I had a 2nd grade little girl that said to me, how many strikes do you have? And I said, I got 2, baby. And she said, is it because you're a male and you Black? And she said, yeah. I said, well, how many do you say? She said, well, I have 1 because I'm a Black girl, right? What she's doing is she's at a young age, she's pouring into these kids and teaching them about their roots, right? That what you see on that shirt and that button and that hat, that's her 100%. Like, these kids are getting what they need and learning who they are in this America. And we talk about James Baldwin and kids being conscious. she's making sure that our second and third graders are conscious at that young age. And it was powerful for him to ask me that. And she told them, every black man you see, you ask him that question. Why does America hate the black man? Because when he grows up and be a black man, he needs to recognize that this world does hate him. But that doesn't mean he can't be successful. And so I want to make sure you get your flowers for that, because I appreciate that as a principal, but also as a black man and for the black boys and black girls that we got in our school. And last but not least, 8 p.m. tonight, Libations is going to go down. Shout out to Unc, who then dropped 3 albums this week. He got 2 more coming out. Make sure y'all tune in at 8 p.m. And I appreciate everybody for rocking with us on these 10 episodes.
Nice. Doc, I know you're going to blow up the spot, so I'll go and let you close things out. Okay. So, as I mentioned before, it's kind of this long process with staff, with my families, and just, the communication and what we're doing next semester. And I saw this quote by, it was posted on Twitter by one of my favorite leaders, retired General Martin Dempsey, former Chief of Staff of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, West Point graduate. So he was someone I look up to, and he posted this quote from Wendy Kopp, CEO of TFA. It said, "It's easier to poke holes in an idea than think of ways to fill them." And I just thinking about that. It's so easy to attack someone's plan, someone's guide, someone's vision. But it takes real work to pour into that, to fill those holes, to fill the gaps. And I just wanted everybody to think about that as we're going through this transition, whatever it looks like in Indy, in Missouri. Think about how you can fill those holes versus creating more. Appreciate y'all, and I'm just thankful for this this platform that we have.
Absolutely. Let's go, Doc.
So mine is in 3 points. 3 points. The first one is shout out to Ms. Johnson. Thank you for coming on. Real quick story about Ms. Johnson and why I love Ms. Johnson so much. Last year, my first year here at Grandview Middle School, Ms. Johnson seen my passion for literacy and making sure that our students can read and enjoy reading, especially our black boys, because there's so many black boys that are reluctant readers. And over the summer, I came across this book by Nick Stone, Dear Martin. I know everybody done heard about it. Loved it, fell in love with it, told Ms. Johnson about it. And Ms. Johnson was like, well, Dr. Smith, I want to start a book club, for boys to go through this book. And I'm like, all right, we can do it after school. She was like, no, I'm going to give up my lunch period. We're going to do it over lunch. That way kids don't have to stay after school to be a part of this book club. And from that point on, I knew Ms. Johnson was something special, to give up her lunch period, 4 days a week, to sit with 2 boys on 2 days a week to read Dear Martin. And then with our female students, they read The Hate You Give. And it was a magical time during those book clubs. And now she started up again this year. And now we're doing Dear Justice with our boys this year. So shout out to Ms. Johnson for that. Matt, I have so much respect for what she did with that there. The next thing I want to address this key issue here at GMS. So this is what I'm going to put out to the staff. When Ms. T. Watson can get to work by 7:45 for a month straight, y'all can get some keys back. So we're going to put it out like that. So we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. So last thing, let's get serious real quick.
Wow.
I want to talk lastly to the village. So, from the beginning, when we did this show, I talked about how going into the school year is going to take the village to make this happen. And I remember back in the spring, everybody was rah-rah for teachers. Everybody was pumping up teachers. They was going to get the best gifts and things like that there. Over the summer, everybody was looking forward to that or whatever. And then we hit this school year. And I don't know if people are just at a point where they're frustrated. And I get it as a parent. You're frustrated. But I want to talk to the village, and I want to talk to not all the village, but those people that's sitting down on their job in the village. I want to talk to those teachers who are still teaching the same way they taught last year, thinking they're going to get some better results in a different time. You're going to have to do something different. And that means you're going to have to think outside the box. That means you're going to have to get off your ass and actually teach. That means you're going to have to do something special. You just going to have to. And that may mean doing a little bit extra beyond your contracted time, because that's just the time we in. And for my teachers who are doing that, for my teachers who I know on Sundays is having Zoom calls with parents and students to go over work, to Ms. Johnson, who drove around Grandview delivering books to kids at their house, shout out to y'all for doing the work. But then I want to talk to y'all parents, because I'm at the breaking point with some of y'all parents. because I'm tired of parents calling me, emailing me, talking about my kid turned in an assignment yesterday. Why hasn't it been graded yet when the assignment was due 3 weeks ago? Or your kid done turned in 10 missing assignments and you want to know why they haven't been graded. Why you got your neck on my teacher, but you didn't have your neck on your child when they was missing all 10 of them assignments every week? So how about you step your game up? Because my teachers are stepping their game up. That's the part I'm getting mad with the village, because parents was riding for teachers in the spring. And I know teachers out there killing themselves to make this thing work. But somehow parents are taking their frustrations out on teachers, and that's not right. And it's a whole bunch of my parents out there that are doing it. They are very appreciative. But y'all parents that aren't doing your job, that's not upholding your end of the bargain, I got a problem with you. And no matter if you're the teacher, the principal, or the parent, if any of us drop the ball, the whole system fails. So I need everybody to step their game up and stop lacking and sitting down on the job, or all of our kids are going to pay the price in the end. And I'm out.
I used to be the most hated person on the show. I'm now second. So, Doc, you're now first. You spoke the truth, but you know you're about to have a lot of folks on your neck, but it's all good. But again, this has been episode 10 of the AOS podcast. Appreciate everybody rocking with us. Love. We see y'all in 2 weeks. Next week for the Twitter chat. It's been amazing. We appreciate you. We out here. Light Candles, Black King just launched. Make sure I go get that. Support my kinfolk. I gotta support my people.
We out here, y'all.
We out, but we out. East side of that.
Go, Ma.
Peace.